Well, the Senate has passed the final version of the first overhaul tax code, making President Donald Trump one step closer to winning his first legislative victory. Joining us now to discuss the tax bill and the effects it will have on Americans is the owner of Retrovision Media and our political commentator, Lee Bynes. And Lee, good to have you.
Good to be back.
Good. 51-48 vote across party lines. Some people say this was expected, but the question remains, what is this going to mean for the president in terms of having, quote unquote, a win?
Well, you know what? I got it right here. Tax victory and what it means. It's his first legislative victory. He's probably going to get it. The Senate has voted. It's going to go back to the House. The House is pretty much guaranteed to pass it and put this thing on his desk probably by today. By noon today, we're going to have a whole new tax structure in place. What it actually means going forward, most analysts who've had a few minutes to take a look at it, and I guarantee you that's pretty much all they've had, because this thing the details didn't come out until Monday. Tuesday they started the voting process, and here we are here on Wednesday. So the details remain murky at best, and that was the plan, because most people who have taken a look at this thing realize that this is pretty much a tax cut for the big rich and big business. And of course, this was pretty much promoted by big donors. So I don't think it should be a surprise. I think we should have seen this coming when Donald Trump was elected president and he started to populate his cabinet with millionaires and billionaires. It was hard to see these folks settling to cut their own throats. They were, for the most part, they're going to be the big winners in this. The middle class, and they'll see something. In fact, that's what they're using to sell this idea, is that everybody's going to get some relief. What they don't understand yet is that how little that relief is actually going to be. It's minuscule.
Okay. They're calling for me to take a break. Let me take a quick break. We'll be back more open. Stay with us. We'll come back with Lee in just a few seconds, right after this. And we're back continuing our conversation with our political analyst, Lee Bynes, as we talk about the Senate passing the bill. The Senate bill passed 51-48, pretty much along party lines. Lee's been breaking it down for us. We resume our conversation. Let's talk about Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. This is his comment saying that, quote, this legislation is a once-in-a-generation opportunity.
Well, it's a once-in-a-generation mistake, as far as a lot of those on the Democratic side. People like Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi came out and pretty much put the kibosh on this plan from the giddy up. You have to understand that this was, in a lot of senses I mentioned earlier, where it was ramrodded through. It was a smash and grab type of situation. It was sort of like a criminal going into the mall. They don't care about witnesses. They don't care about the cops. They don't care about anything but getting what they want done. So the plan had no debate, it had no public hearings, it had no expert testimonies, and it had no time, literally, for review. Again, when this plan comes through, there is some good news in this, by the way, if you happen to be a Democrat, and as Nancy Pelosi said, that they're going to have to wear this around their neck for the 2018 election. When we looked at the polling numbers that came out on this thing, we have 55% of the people saying that it was a bad plan, it was a no-go situation, you can't do this thing. We only had 33% that felt okay with it, and the remaining 11% really was clueless. So in what the Republicans are telling the public right now, or the GOP is telling the public right now, is that in February you're going to see some change. You're going to see the results of this in your paycheck. Now, when they ran the numbers, they're talking about anywhere from $1,400 to $1,800 annually that people will save on their taxes. This is people who are living on $45,000, a family of four living on $45,000 a year. If you're living on $45,000 a year in New York City as a family of four, you're doing very, very badly. And it's hard to see how $1,400 or $1,800 is going to make life any better for you. So when I outline this stuff, and the big thing that I want to make sure that people are aware of is that in this package that's been passed is that they actually eliminated the mandatory participation in the health plan. Once they got rid of that, we're looking at a minimum of 13 million people losing their care over the next few years. Now, the Republicans' response to that is that, oh, no. Because we got rid of the mandate, these 13 million people are going to be leaving the plan voluntarily because they won't be forced to participate. But that is not true. And I would debate anybody who would try and push forward on that. Now, again, the plan that we're looking at right now, they're saying that well, over the next 10 years, we're going to have between 3%, 4%, 5% growth. Then that should offset the $1.5 trillion that this is going to add to the national debt. The national debt is something that the Republicans they were adamant about not adding to it. But once this thing came along, once we had the billionaires and millionaires in the cabinet and the donors who are backing them, it seems like the deficit is no longer a major issue. They're saying that, yeah, growth could take care of this. Now, this is a global situation we have to consider here. And because the companies that are going to get the major tax breaks, these are not just U.S. companies. These are multinational companies. They have a fiduciary responsibility to provide value to their stockholders.
Let me get in here and ask this about 2018. We've got midterm elections coming around the corner.
Yep.
We saw what just happened in Alabama with Doug Jones defeating Roy Moore. A little bit of a different set of circumstances, but yet and still, there's a growing sentiment now that, listen, if there's a problem such as this tax bill, that we could see great turnout in the 2018 midterm elections. Do you agree that this is going to be the catalyst to get a lot of people to vote back to the polls?
I can't say that it'll be the catalyst, but it will definitely be one of the big ticket items that the Democrats will be able to hang their hat on. Again, in February, when people see how paltry, how minuscule the average person is going to get out of this, I think there's going to be a revolt on your hands, and nothing will keep people from the polls at that stage of the game. So Nancy Pelosi, maybe look, if she doesn't decide to leave the political stage, she could be the Speaker of the House again. And if that happens, of course, well, now we're looking at impeachment proceedings, because the only thing that's keeping Donald Trump in office right now is the fact that the GOP controls the House and the Senate. But that could all change in 2018, because there's a lot of people revved up, not only about the tax situation, but a plethora of issues that they've come to literally despise about Donald Trump.
Well, the Democrats are saying this. Listen, there was no time for review on this, and definitely no debating this. Something of this magnitude. You got committees saying we've seen nothing. This is really the first time ever that this has ever happened. So when you look at something like this and you hear this, what comes to your?
Well, it's not so much just the Democrats that didn't know what was in the plan. A lot of Republicans didn't have any idea what was going on in the plan, and therein lies their problem. Because, again, in February, when people actually get a feel for what's really going on or what's really happened to them, the Republicans are going to have to go back to their constituents and explain to them that, the difference of what they were told and what actually occurred. Now, Donald Trump, in fairness to him, this man is just checking off boxes of campaign promises. He promised to change the tax code. He promised to cut taxes. He promised to get rid of Obamacare. He's done all of those things. Climate change, the works. The thing is that the people who voted for him were in such a state of disappointment and disenchantment where the country was going, that they were willing to vote almost for Satan himself if they thought that they could get a few dollars out of it. And so what happened is that it was in my estimation, Donald Trump being previously a television reality star, celebrity type of thing, people bought into that, and it was a bait and switch situation, and now we're stuck with the switch.
So as we look forward now in the next couple of weeks, what can we expect?
A wait and see attitude again. This bill is definitely going to be passed. It'll definitely be signed. Donald Trump over the holidays will take a victory lap around and boast about what he did to bring the biggest tax cut in American history. But again, it's only going to take about 60 to 90 days beyond the passing of this bill for us to know exactly how it's going to affect the average American voter, the average American taxpayer. Right now, since Donald Trump is saying that, oh my God, I'm going to suffer like you wouldn't believe. But we have no idea to verify that because we don't know what he's been paying in taxes previously, and we won't know what he'll be paying in taxes moving forward. So aside from a Mueller investigation victory on his own turf, we're pretty much going to be stuck with this man through 2018.
All right. Lee Bonds, our political commentator. Thanks so much for coming. Lee Bonds, we'll be back more open. Stay with us. We've got more show coming up right after this.